Hi guys, welcome to the next part of Node Express MongoDB tutorial series. In this part, we'll be creating a simple Node server, try to configure different options inside it, try to create different routes inside Node server, and also creating a single API and adding some configuration to this API. So I've already created this Node server folder. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a new file index.js, right? So the package that I'll be using for creating the Node server is by default provided by Node, so we don't need to install package.json or install a third-party package for this. We'll be doing that when we will start using Express server. Okay, so const http, which is the name of that package, by default provided by Node. And now in order to create the server of Node, this http gives us a function called create server, and then it gives us two params, request and response. Request is something when someone is accessing this server, he might needs to pass few parameters to this server, and we will receive those params in the request object. And whenever we want to return something from this server, we will be using this response object. Okay, so this server have been this is the simple line that we have written. Now below this, I'm going to initialize a port. So let's say 1500 is the port. Let's receive this thing in a variable called the server. Okay, now we have this server dot listen, and we are going to pass it the port, and then we need to give the host name. So locally we can give it a host name, but when we will deploy it, we can change it to something else, right? And then we have this callback function, and then we can actually return server is running on port. Okay, so from here what we can do is we can actually response dot end. For now, let's keep it like this. And in the terminal, I'm already in the Node server folder, and if I run node index.js, and you can see that the server is running on port 1500. So let's go to our browser and try to trigger localhost 1500, and it's giving us empty page. But now let's pass something from it, hello from Node server. Okay, so when we make any change and refresh, and when we are running our server in Node, we have to stop the server and rerun it. I'll let you know later on that how we can automatically restart the server. Now in the browser, if I press reload this page, you can see that it has printed hello from Node server. I've just zoomed in my screen, so hello from Node server have been printed. So our server is running. If we want to deploy our Node server, this is the simplest server we have created, and this is the URL that will be created. So now we will leave this part as it is, and everything we need to do is within this server what we want to do. So first of all, let's first log the request.method object. Okay, so let's see what we have in the method. So now if we try to hit from here, you can see that it is printed get. So the request will only trigger when someone try to access this server. Currently our browser is trying to access our server that we have created on this URL, because we want to run our server on localhost colon 1500. Okay, so now request method is giving the get. Now let's try to give the request.url. Now let's try to run the server, and let's hit that and check. You can see that it is the home route, means that we are at the home route. There is no explicitly extra route being added over here. We can add something over here like the slash home, and we can actually detect it using request.url and create the routes like this, right? So first of all, let me create a variable URL and pass it a request.url, and then I can use if statements, and then I can try if we are at the home route or the URL equals to slash home, right? So if we are at the slash route or at the home route, then we want to end it with the hello from the home route, right? So let's rerun the server again and try to hit that hello from the home route. Okay, so the reason is that it is now triggering this line because we are at the home route, and if I try to change the URL to the home as well, so slash home, this URL is slash home. Okay, oh, the server is not running. So now my server is running. Now I'll hit enter. You can see that the hello from the home route is triggered. This is where we are returning that, and in the same if conditions we can create the more routes. Let's say else if, and if the URL is equals to slash about response dot end hello from the about route. Okay, so we can create any number of routes that we want, right? So let's remove these things from bottom. We don't want that. And lastly, if the route does not exist, then we need to handle that this route does not exist. So we can simply return response dot end, and this route does not exist. Let's try this, and I'm going to run the server again. Right, so now I'm in my browser, and if I run about, this is the route I have created, and I write something like this, it should return this route does not exist. So our routes are working. Let's correct the spelling. So our routes are working, and let's try to set some headers. So there has to be some 404 error because this page does not exist. We want to set some headers. If I right click on the browser and inspect and go to the network, try to hit this, and now you can see that even if the route does not exist, still it is giving us the status 200. It shouldn't be like this. We need to set the head for that. So for that we can actually check is response dot write head, and then we can give it a status 404, and then we can set the content type text slash we can modify it in the form of HTML, and also if we want to pass our custom headers, we can also pass that thing. So custom header, we are just giving it hello world, right? And for sending the HTML, we can actually add h1 and then end with h1. I'm assuming that you know HTML, so this is the tag for the heading. We need to enclose the text within this tag. So I'm going to save this file and rerun the server. And now if I hit, you can see that it's now giving the 404. All right, so let me bring it up. Let's rerun. And now you can see that it is giving the 404 error, and it took the 19 milliseconds. Let me move it to the right side and bring these things over here. And here you can see that it is giving the 404 not found error, which is the status code. And also we passed some custom headers over there. This is the content type that we passed, text/html, and this is the custom header that we passed, hello world. So this is how we can pass the custom header from our node server, right? So one of the last thing I want to add in this video is create an API route. So /URL is equals to the API, and inside it, let's say currently we don't have any API, but we want to fetch some kind of data from the API. So for that, I'm not going to use the API. Instead, I'm going to create data.json file, and inside it, I'm going to create an object. So ID, just to let you know that in the JSON file, the keys should be enclosed within double quotes, but it doesn't happen in JavaScript objects. But you need to make sure that you enclose the keys in the double quotes as well. So the ID is 1 and name is 1. For now, that's pretty much it. And the data.json file is created, and we can use the fs package to actually get the data from that file. So fs.read file, and then we can, just to give you an idea about one other thing, is that there are some built-in variables __. You can see that it is giving us the directory name and the file name. So we are going to be using the directory name, because when we'll deploy our project to the server, this really works well. Okay, otherwise there can be a chance that we get into some kind of unknown error. So directory name is the path of this file, starting from my system, from the home directory up to the folder node server, which I'm already in. And inside the node server, I have this file data.json. Okay, and then I can give it UTF-8, and yeah, so we have the error and the response. So inside it, I can set the error throw error. Otherwise, I can get the data. So the data is response. So I can parse this data, because I need to parse the JSON. So now I have this data. Okay, so just like I have set this 404, I can set the 200 head as well. So I can copy it from here and I can paste it, and I'm going to replace with the 200. I'm just going to remove this extra header, and this has been set to the HTML, and then I can end it with the data. Okay, I hope that there is no error. So let's run the server. So our server is running on 1500. Let's run it. So it's the previous route. Now let's change the route to the API. So let's see, the chunk argument must be of type string instead of the buffer. So there is something with this data.json file. So we have read and the response. And first of all, let's try to log this data. This is how we are going to debug this. So while we are learning the Node or JavaScript, this is how we debug our code. So API, so it is throwing an error, but if we go up, it is successfully being fetched, but it is an object. So the response.end function does not support the object to be returned to the browser and whoever is accessing this node server, right? So first we need to convert this data into some kind of string. So I'm going to add this res, not the res, it's actually the create server object. So I'm going to create str and the data dot id plus concatenate with the string and then plus data dot name, right? And then I'm going to pass the string from here. Now this data object is being converted into the string and I'm returning the string from here. Okay, now let's rerun the server node index.js and refresh. So now you can see that one Umair have been printed successfully. So we have learned that it does not support objects or arrays to be returned from res.end function, right? So in this video, one last thing I would like to mention. First of all, let's create a new HTML file. So HTML, and if I write HTML, there was a shortcut, so doc type, yeah, and then the HTML is created, and then we have the head, and then we have the body, and inside the body we can have, this is my template, okay, template title. So I think that's fine and it will work. So our template.html is created. Now let's say that if we want to return the template from here. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to read that template using the fs module. Because I have set the content type to HTML, it means that I can return an HTML as well rather than just the string. So I'm going to modify it. So const HTML, but I'm modifying it by fetching it from the external file. This is the purpose of showing this to you. So read file sync. I don't want to use then in here. So I can use the template.html and then UTF-8. So rather than sending this, I'll just return HTML. So let's see if this works. Let's add page not found, because this is what we intend to do, because the else block should intend to return not found error. So now I'm going to rerun the server, refresh, and change the route, so anything which is not found. And now you can see that the template title and this is my template page not found is being returned. So this is actually a response from server. So actually this head title, I forgot to add the title tag within this head tag. That's why the title was missed out and directly added over here. Otherwise it would have shown over here. Okay, so this is it, I think, creating a server in Node. But nowadays we use different frameworks of Node like Nest.js or Express, Loopback for creating APIs. But it's a good thing that you know how you create a server using the core Node. Sometimes you need to create a small application that contains only 2-3 files, and you don't want to import Express modules and Loopback for creating the servers. When you need a small application, you don't need external frameworks. You can directly create the server using the Node and just fulfill your requirements. When you want to create a big application that contains hundreds of REST APIs like the e-commerce project, then you are supposed to use some kind of framework. Otherwise, you should know that how you can create the server using Node. And this is a small application that we have created using the Node HTTP module, which is the built-in package of Node. So guys, I hope that you have liked it, and if you like it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much for watching.